But at least I hope you can appreciate there's a much bigger story here with a lot less certainty about what is and what is not known and who is trustworthy here, but that was contradicted there. But this lab found this, but this lab manager said that doesn't matter because they found... Again, there's so many layers to this story. That this story in and of itself could make an entire documentary unto itself. And I would watch that documentary in a heartbeat. It would be a fascinating story, because either the story is that the Catholic Doctors Association came out with this completely outrageous, baseless, false accusation that they cooked up out of nothing about basically trying to derail an entire vaccination program, and at least being partially successful, certainly sowing seeds of doubt in the Kenyan population about this vaccination program. Based on absolutely nothing, and spent years and years dragging this controversy out. Or the story is that there really was actual genuine concerns about this vaccine that had been discovered and uncovered, but then was covered up, and boards and governments and review boards and what have you have covered it up consistently since then. Either way, it's a fascinating story, and either way, as I say, it would make an incredible documentary. But having said that, as you can tell, that is exactly not what I talked about or what I said in the Bill Gates documentary. I did not say anything at all about this being a Bill Gates vaccine, as africacheck.org tries to frame the conversation based on a Facebook meme that they dug up. But secondly, I also do not claim that these were secret sterilization programs. I said that there were allegations that created controversies. Again, that's demonstrable. You just saw. And as I say, I could go on and on with examples of how Kenyan news media was covering this story as the controversy that it was. For many years, it certainly did create a controversy, and that's exactly why you had the WHO and others stepping back from their task forces on vaccines for fertility regulation and what have you, and putting that back on the back burner until the Gates Foundation was able to broach it again in 2012.
This world is not what you think it is. This world is not what you think it is.
We're developing a society because of all of these different toxins known to affect brain function. We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society.
Masks are one of the best ways to stop the spread of coronavirus. That is proven.
Security to the ER. Security to the ER. All doctors. Security to the ER. Security to the ER. Security to the ER. All doctors. Security to the ER. Stop.
So everyone's sort of mediocre. That leaves them dependent on government because they can't excel. We have these people of lower IQ who are totally dependent. Then we have this mass of people who are going to believe anything they're told because they can't really think clearly.
Everything that I said was factually accurate and had nothing to do really with that debunk. But that brings us to the point where either France's 34-year-old son knew that the fact checks that he was sending to his mother had nothing to do with what I was saying in the documentary, but figured, she probably won't look into it, so good enough. I'll just send her this and say it's been debunked and don't trust that guy anymore. Or he didn't even bother to watch the documentary or just saw a couple things and Googled and saw the first thing that seemed to pertain and just threw it out there. Look, it's been debunked. Either way, that speaks to the ridiculous nature of the predicament that we find ourselves in, debating with people who are just going to Google for an excuse to debunk or dismiss information, regardless of whether it even pertains to what's being said. Again, let's not actually examine facts, and let's not see what's being linked and what it says. Let's not look at the actual journal study that says this, or let's not look at any reports about that. Let's just tar it all with one big brush, throw it in one big lump of debunked, and good enough. And that's precisely the way these fact checkers function.
But we need to start getting things back to normal. They won't be back to normal until we either have that phenomenal vaccine or a therapeutic that's like over 95% effective.
They won't be back to normal until we either have that phenomenal vaccine.
And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want. So, you can kind of piece it together as to why they are so insistent in spending so many hundreds of millions of dollars of propaganda money to dumb down society.
The one thing we do know, these masks make a gigantic difference. I would insist that everybody on public be wearing that mask.
So that does raise the question then, who is behind these fact-checking sites? And if you did see 381, you'll already know where this is going, but let's put it on the record. So, for example, again, we saw in that email from France, she was impressed that that Indian debunk, quote-unquote, which wasn't a debunk, as we saw, was from India itself. It's from the country in question, right? TheLogicalIndian.com. But wait, actually, they sourced their entire debunk to PolitiFact. And who is PolitiFact anyway? Oh, that's right. They are partially funded by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Oh, funny how that works. How about this africacheck.org? Oh, right. As even they note, yeah, 18% of their income in 2018 derived from the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Again, do you think these conflicts of interests maybe have some bearing on what is or is not debunked? What is a fact and what is fake news? Do we even allow that to enter into our consciousness when we look at this sort of thing?
Public health depends on getting the right information. We know that Bill Gates wants us all to wear a mask. We know that CNN and MSLSD and all of mainstream media wants us to wear a mask. We know that Dr. Anthony Fauci from the COVID-19 Administrative Response Team wants us to wear a mask, as they all hypocritically wear their mask as they're touching their faces, adjusting their masks. And we also know that OSHA has determined what is normal atmospheric oxygen. This is from OSHA.gov, and I can't stress this enough. This is the government's own information telling you what is safe in regard to the presence of oxygen. They say, while normal atmosphere contains between 20.8 and 21% oxygen, OSHA defines as oxygen deficient any atmosphere that contains less than 19.5% oxygen. So if you go below 19.5% oxygen, you have an oxygen deficient atmosphere. If you're oxygen deficient, then your immunity is compromised. Here's a demonstration of a normal oxygenated atmosphere and an oxygen deficient atmosphere.
19.5% is what OSHA recommends as safe. Anything below that is considered unsafe. This unit will beep if the oxygen level drops below that. Right now you can see it's at 20.9, so it's above safe levels. And we're going to bring in our first student because, of course, the public health experts are recommending that we have. You can come in. That we have our students wear masks. So we're going to take the GX 2009. We're going to put it up inside the mask and just have our student breathe normally here and see.
Now, just real quick, this is an RKI GX 2009 instant oxygen sensor.
If it starts to, okay, you can see that this started to beep right away. Let me see if I can show the percentage here.
As soon as the instrument went under the mask, it sensed oxygen deprivation.
17.1 is what it shows. Let me see if I can get that peak. Okay, there it is. It actually was lower than that at 17.0. So again, 19.5, and you can see how quickly that was. Thank you. We're going to bring in student number 2. Let me clear the peak on this.
Now that right there was a very light mask. What I like about what this guy does with this demonstration is he does several different types of mask. Check this out.
This does have a memory, so I'm just going to hold the air button here and clear that. Okay, so now you can see our peak is back to 20.9, and we're going to bring in our second student with the N95 mask. This is the 3M N95 mask. A little harder to get this in because this one's a little smaller mask, but do your best to put this up underneath your mask near where you breathe there, and we'll see what happens. Again, oh, okay, there we go.
Now I want to point something out here. See how far off of this kid's face this mask is? It's letting in way more oxygen than would have come in that mask if it's sealed like it's supposed to be around your nose and your face, which means once you seal it off around your nose and face, it's going to be less oxygen than this oxygen sensor is actually picking up, because the oxygen sensor is still picking up air from the outside of the mask. So in other words, it's an oxygen deficient atmosphere with the mask up off the face. How much more oxygen deficient would it be if it was sealed on the face like it's designed to be?
Almost immediately from breathing, it's sensing. Okay, thank you. Now let me get to the peak screen where it has the memory on it. Okay, there's the peak of 18.1. So almost immediately, this is dropping below what is considered safe by OSHA. And now we're going to bring in our...
And just to point out also, that was an N95. It was an OSHA approved mask. It's an N95 mask. OSHA says that you're at a dangerous level. You're at an oxygen deficient atmosphere if it's less than a 19.5. This kid's reading under that N95 3M mask was an 18.1.
Our third mask, our third student with a different type of mask. This is just your standard surgical mask. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm just trying to clear this because I want to make sure everybody knows. So the peak now is 20.9. We're back clear. Let me get back to the reading.
This is the type of mask here that I see most people wear. And look, it's not even sealed off at the top right here. So many gaps. So much opportunity for oxygen to come in there.
Screen. Okay, now it's in active reading mode at 20.9 as well. And then if you would do the same thing, we're going to have student number 3 here just put it up under his mask and just try to put the mask back as best. Okay. Thank you. All right, and it was showing in the 17s here. I'm going to try to turn the alarm off, go to the peak screen. Okay, that one, 17.6. So as you can see, the 19.5 is what OSHA considers the danger level. And on all 3 of the tests, we did a straight surgical mask, we did an N95 mask, and we did a very thin mask of the first student. Can you hand me that? I just want to show how thin that mask
Watch how thin this mask is right here.
is. Yeah, the gray one there. That's great. I mean, this is basically, this was the first one. This is very thin material, and it's still trapping and lowering the oxygen level. With the GX 2009 oxygen sensor, and I just want to show people that when you, we tested those masks, when you hold this up to your mouth, you can see how close I'm holding this and I'm talking directly into it. It is not going off. So we want to make sure that we aren't misleading people. If you look at the video, you'll notice that when we had the students with the masks on and put this inside their mask, it was actually off to the side. So what I'm doing now is breathing directly in, talking directly into this as if it were a microphone. There's sensors on the top and sides, front and sides of this. So you can see that oxygen level's holding at 20.9. And of course, OSHA says the level at 19.5 or below is unsafe and dangerous. And this oxygen sensor, the GX 2009, will almost immediately go off if it starts to get into that range. So
below a 19.5, it's a dangerous atmosphere. It's an oxygen deficient atmosphere. And yet Bill Gates, Mr. Vaccine, wants you to wear a mask.
You can hear the alarm going off. That means that there is a hazardous atmosphere. 17.4. It's going to clear at 19.5. And that's what is required to work in a space.
We're seeing a society that not only has a lot more people of lower IQ, but a lot fewer people of higher IQ. In other words, a dumbing down, a chemical dumbing down of society.
Masks are one of the best ways to stop the spread of coronavirus. That is proven.
And very few people of very high IQ who have good cognitive function who can figure this all out. And that's what they want.